and Vanakkam CTJS 2022. I'm super excited and honored to be part of the first cohort of CTJS India 2022. And I really wanted to thank CTJS and the entire organizer team for having me here. With that happy note, let's get started. So today we are going to talk about building a cross-browser extension with JavaScript. So a little introduction about me. I'm Karthickeyan Narsimhan. I'm a full-time software engineer at Freshworks. I especially work for the product called Fresh Marketer, which is a marketing automation software. I am also a part-time student at Georgia Tech. I'm a free and open source software evangelist. I have given numerous talks in events and conferences in India and across 6 countries. And I'm a Mozilla representative for India and an official tech speaker of Mozilla. I've served for almost 3 years. I'm also available on Twitter at the rate of Hello Karthik, so feel free to stalk me. I will probably stalk you back. And today's agenda is we're going to talk about what browser extensions are, what they can do, basically, and what's the architecture of WebExtension. We're going to look into some of the extension APIs that are available. And I'm going to show you a demo of 2 web extensions today. And we're going to look into some of the development tools that we require for building an extension. And also, we are going to see how to debug and publish your add-ons on the marketplace. So hope you're all excited. And let's begin. So what is browser extension? I'm pretty sure many of you would have used at least some of the extension in your daily use. Maybe it's for personal or for work. So basically, a browser extension is something that extends the functionality of a browser. So there are numerous extensions that are available in Chrome extension store, Firefox add-ons store, and let's see what extensions can actually do. So extensions basically, it's like an Iron Man suit for Tony Stark. Similar way, extensions are for the browser. So it gives a superpower to the browser to perform its max efficiency. So what are the examples of extensions? So let me show you some popular add-ons. Probably you all can relate to those and probably would have used it in some point of time. And here are a few of the popular add-ons that I have used personally. And first is Grammarly plugin. So I think most of you might have heard of it or used it. And I use it personally as I'm a part-time student. I get to write assignments every week and I have to submit reports for which I require a tool like this to correct my grammars or sentence. And of course, I use it to my submit a call for proposal page. Right? So it's a pretty helpful add-on. And the next is Adblock Plus. I think most of you would have used this. This basically prevents advertisements running on your web page, and it blocks all your advertisements. And extension can help you browse securely. So these are a few of the examples. Facebook Container by Mozilla is one of the best examples. I've used it, and it's an interesting add-on that basically isolates the Facebook activity away from your normal website browsing. So what it does is it prevents Facebook from tracking your website views so that it doesn't, put advertisements on your visits. And HTTPS everywhere is basically it enforces HTTPS of all the traffic that comes in and out of the browsers. And extension can also be used to enhance your experience. For example, whenever you open a new tab, you get to see the boring homepage, right? So instead of that, you can show something like a motivational quote or probably a picture of your family running through. So that would be an exciting functionality of an add-on. And this is one of my favorites. It's called Momentum. It's an extension that's available on Chrome and Firefox. So whenever you open a new tab, you get this screen. And extension can also help you to store and access your password easily. The first one you're seeing is OnePass. So OnePassword, let's say, and LastPass, these all helps you to store and access your password to your browser through a browser extension. and it's pretty much a good functionality for an extension, what an extension could be. And so basically, anything you want which actually unleashes the potential of browser's capabilities, and that's what WebExtension can do. All right, so now let's discuss on the architecture of web extension. How does a web extension look like? So the first you see here, there's a manifest.json, and then you have several other components called background page, content scripts, browser action, options page, and web accessible resources. We're going to look into what each one of those components and what it does and how do we write them. So the first is the manifest.json file. So this is a mandatory file in your extension. You can have an extension without any of the other files, but manifest.json is a mandatory file, and it's basically a key value pair. So basically, manifest.json is like an index of a web page, index of your book, right? So it contains all the metadata about your extension. And here you can see the first three keys: manifest version, name, and the version of an extension. These three are like the mandatory keys for manifest.json. So the first one is the manifest version. It is 2. Currently, Google is working on version 3, and it has already stopped getting the submissions for version 2. And version 2 is going to be there for at least for the next 1 or more years. And the dedication date has been announced already. And the name of your add-on is BC5. So basically, if you want to talk more about the manifest version, feel free to ask in Q&A session. So we can discuss more on this. But for now, Extension API will work well for Firefox, for Opera, and Safari and other browsers, basically Chromium-based browsers. And here's the name. Name is basically your name of your add-on, and then version is basically your add-on's version. And these are all basically optional. Everything you see here are optional. You just plug in as and when you need it. So let's talk about types of scripts that are available. So there are basically 2 types of scripts. One is the content script, and another is the background script. So we're going to see one by one what it does. The first one is content scripts. So it's similar to loading a JavaScript on a web page, right? So it basically injects a web page into your, inject a JavaScript into your web page. Right? So it can access your DOM structures, it can manipulate your DOM, and content script can basically access very few APIs. They cannot access all the APIs, but if you want to do so, you can send a message to background script. We're going to see what background script is. So once you send a message to background script can access all the underlying web extension APIs. And this content script can help you to make HTTP requests to the domains. And here is how a content script look like. So you can see this is how it look like in a manifest.json file. So you have a content script keys here, and it's an array where you can see we have a key called matches and JS. So basically means that we're going to inject this JavaScript to those websites that matches this keyword, right? So we're going to inject jQuery.js and content-script.js to all the websites that has Mozilla.org in it. Basically, if you go to Mozilla.org or any of the subdomains, it can have any protocol, HTTP or HTTPS. And if you visit the page, these JavaScript scripts will be injected into the page. And next comes background scripts. So we call this as privileged scripts. Why do we call it privileged scripts? Is because it can access all the web extension APIs, the underlying extension APIs. So they run independent of any tag. So what I mean by that is basically in content scripts, it is under the context of a specific web page. So here you're running in the specific web page, but for background script, you don't run on a specific web page. Rather, you run at the browser's runtime. So it's going to stay in a background. So basically, the scripts will run in a background. When you start a browser till you close the browser, it's going to be running independently of any tab. Whichever tab you visit doesn't matter. And it loads as soon as the extension is loaded, and it's going to stay until you close it, right? And you can use any of the web extension APIs. That's why it's called as a privileged scripts. So basically, this is how you can keep the manifest.json file, and you have the background scripts, and you mentioned the JavaScript here, right? Let's get to know more about the browser action. So this is a very interesting component here. So basically, most of the extension that you have installed, you would have seen a small icon on the toolbar, right? So these are powered by browser actions, right? So when you click on this browser action icon, so when you click on the it will give you a pop-up. So basically, a pop-up can contain some data where you can select or configure some options. Right? So this is an advantage of using a browser action. So how do you access it? So basically, you can access it through this API, browser.browseraction.onClick, add listener, and click. So basically, whenever you click on this icon, we have to tell our extension what you need to do when you click on this action. Probably when you click on this icon, you can show a pop-up, or when you click on this icon, you can do some actions, right? And browser here means browser is basically a namespace or extension API, whereas Chrome uses a namespace called Chrome. And browser namespace is basically all the asynchronous API calls are made using promise, whereas Chrome makes use of callbacks. But it's going to change once V3 comes into play. And browser action is basically an API and on click. So when you click on the icon, this particular function will be triggered. Right? And suppose if your action is very much specific to your web page, then you can use a page action. So page action will reside on your address bar. Right? So you might have seen a reading mode on your address toolbar. So whenever you click on the reading mode, the entire page converts into reading mode. It just removes all the clutters. And they can be like many plugins. For example, one of the use case is you can probably have a plugin, a page action plugin, where you can convert your entire web page into PDF. Right? So that is possible using page action. And here is the API for that. So similar to browser action, you have an API called page action. And when you click on it, we will be listening to an event and we will run a function. So that is what page action does. And we also have options page. So this component will let you to add an option page on the add-ons manager. So basically, you have an add-ons manager about column add-ons. From there, you can configure your add-on. Maybe you can choose a color, or probably you can have a text box to enter your API keys that connects to your website. So you can basically have any kind of configuration that you want to provide for your user. Right? So that's for that is options page for you. And we also have other UI elements. For example, we have sidebar. So sidebar is very much specific to Firefox. You don't have this in other browser. So this API will work only on Firefox. So sidebar is basically when you go to view sidebar, you get an option sidebar. Let me show you. So when you click on this view sidebar, so you can see a sidebar here. And currently you have bookmarks and history. So let's say you want to build an extension that adds another option along with this. You can make use of it. For example, you can have a notes app probably to annotate. So you can have a annotation box here, so where you can add a notes or add a image or something like that when you're visiting a website. So that is possible using sidebar API. And then you have Devtools. So Devtools is again basically when you click on your developer tools, so you can see all these tools, right? Debugger, network, and all this. So along with it, you can build a new extension that can add a new tab in this developer tool. For example, we have an extension Ember developer tool. So here, you basically have a developer tool tab added to this. So similar way, you can actually have a new tab for your add-on. And then there's something called a notification tab. So notification API. So this will basically push a notification to your browser. So let's say you have a drink water reminder or something. So you want to push a notification on your browser. So it will just pop up on your right up corner of your browser. Right. So, and then you have address by suggestion. So this is basically, you can set a keyword for a website. For example, let's say I want to search someone on LinkedIn directly from my address bar. I can have a hotkey for LinkedIn, let's say LI. So when I go to my address bar and type LI space KARTHICKEYAN NARSIMHAN, so probably what will happen is it will go to a web page, linkedin.com, search for result will be displayed to you. Right, so that is the power of address bar suggestion. Even you can have probably for Stack Overflow, you can call it as SO. keyword. So whenever you go to your bar, you can just type yesos slash how to do this or that, right? So that's the power of address bar suggestion. And web accessible resources. So basically, this is one of the key that you need to mention in your manifest or JSON file. So all the resources such as the images, HTML, JavaScript, so whatever you have included in your extension that needs public access, those things can be put into this web accessible resource key. All right. So, okay. So what is web extension API? So Mozilla proposed a cross-browser extension standard called Web Extension API at W3C. So this allows you to run, build and run extension across all the browsers. So what are the advantages for this? From a developer perspective, you don't need to maintain a separate code base for each of the browsers. Rather, you can simply build for one and you can use the same for all the browsers. And so that is possible using this web extension API. So all you need to do is like, there are probably like few changes that you require for Chromium-based browsers like Chrome, Edge, and Opera. And for Safari, you can directly use the exact same thing what you use for Firefox. It's going to work seamlessly without any change at all. And here are a few of the web extension APIs that's available. First one is Alarm API. So again, back to the same example, if you want to have a drink water add-on that reminds you to drink water for, let's say, for every 15 minutes or so. So you can have an alarm API that will be basically running in the background. It will have a counter. So every 10 minutes, it's going to send a notification asking you to drink water, right? Or if you want to have, there's something called a 20-20-20 rule, right? So whenever you are watching a screen for 20 minutes, doctors ask you to look at something which is 20 feet apart and for 20 seconds, right? So you can probably have a notification. You can build an add-on to send you a notification to look away from your screen. Probably that could save you from dry eyes. Right. So, and then we also have tabs API. So this is basically helps you to manage all your tabs, your current tab, or it can, there are like many methods available. For example, you can create a new tab, you can duplicate the tab, you can organize the tab, you can move into a separate containers, you can even remove a tab, or probably you can have add-on that could count how many times you have opened facebook.com, right? So that can be possible. Or when you create a new tab, you want to open something, maybe a picture of a family, that's possible using tabs.create API, right? And then we have storage API that's basically make use of the storage functionality of your browser. So that's storage API. And then we have web request API. This is kind of a very powerful API that we can use. So it lets you to intercept the network traffic of that goes in and out of your browser. So basically all the privacy concerned extension, like privacy-related extensions like to-block origin, privacy badger, or Adblock Plus, all these things, all these extensions basically make use of this web request API. But Chrome has recently modified this web request API. They have stopped using it. Instead of, they're using a declarative net request API. So that's part of the V3. In order to preserve few of the functionalities that all the major Adblock service uses, they have supported 3,000 plus rules that one can add to your declarative net request API. So yes. And then we have notification APIs. As I told an example with Alarm API, you can send a notification. And there are basically many more extensions API that are available right now. So if you want to look at an exhaustive list of extension API available, you can visit the MDN developer.mozilla.org. So MDN is basically like a mecca for JS developers, and you get all the information related to your API. Right. So talking about the security aspect, so whenever you install an add-on, browser itself will show a pop-up warning you that these are the things that your extension is going to make use of, like it's going to access to, right? So you're going to accept that you grant them grant the add-ons those permissions, right? So these are all like security aspects that are given by the browsers. Here, the first one you are seeing from Mozilla. So this is how the Firefox shows you a pop-up, and similarly in Chrome, it's going to show you like this particular Grammarly add-on plugin, for example, is going to display notification, or it's going to modify the data. So all these things. So how does a browser know all these? Is basically you need to mention all these things in your manifest.json file. If you're going to make use of Tabs API, or maybe you're going to make use of a web request API, you need to mention it explicitly in your manifest.json file under the permissions tab, right? So based on that, this is going to be shown to your end users. All right, so enough of talking. So let me start with the demo. So today we are going to see two extensions. So one is going to be like a hello world of extension. That's Borderify. Let me open my Sublime. And here you can see I basically have two folders, Borderify and tab open. So we're going to explore the first extension right now. Borderify, so basically we have two files in one folders here, and we have a manifest.json, we have borderify.js, and we have an icons folder. Within that, we have our icons. All right, so always remember that you need to have your manifest.json in the root of your project directory, not in any of the subdirectories. So let's open the manifest.json file here. As you can see, these three are the mandatory keys that are required in your manifest.json file. The first one is manifest version, it's going to be 2, and the name of your extension, let's call it Borderify, and the version of your extension, we're going to set it as 1.4. Maybe once you iterate, when you give an update, you can have 1.1, 1.2, or if it's going to be a major release, give it 2.0 or something like that. Right, so that's how you need to version your new updates to the marketplace, right? So, and then description icons are basically optional, but it is recommended. Description basically tells you like what your add-ons does. So this is what's going to be displayed on your extension add-ons manager page. And then we have icons key. So this is basically, it is again optional, but it's recommended. Right now we have a 48 cross 48 pixel icon over here, which is under the icons folder. We can also have 96 or something, and we can also have for 32. So you can just mention all the resolutions of icon that you want to have here, right? And then we also have content script. So as I already told you, content script basically injects, it basically loads a script onto any web page that you mention in this matches, right? So basically you want to load this borderify.js script to those websites that matches this criteria. So any website of mozilla.org, when you visit that website, this will be injected. All right. So let's see what this borderify.js has. And yep, exactly right. So that's going to be one single line of your code. So this is basically just a hello world of an extension. So what I'm going to do is basically update the style border. We're going to set 5 pixel solid red. So this extension, what it's going to do is whenever you open any tab of mozilla.org, so we're going to have a border of 5 pixel of width with solid red color. Right? So that's what we're going to do with this add-on. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this add-on in our Firefox browser. So how you're going to do is basically go to about:debugging. And from this page, you're going to click on this Firefox. And there's an option called load temporary add-on. Let me remove the existing one. So there's something called load temporary add-on. We're going to click on this and open Borderify. Select the manifest.json file and click on open. So you can see a cute little icon here that we have mentioned in our icons folder. And yes, the extension has been loaded. So how are you going to test it? So basically, let's try to open google.com. Is it going to work? Nope, because we have given the matches as mozilla.org. Let's open mozilla.org. And voila, that's it. So you can see a red border is applied to this web page. Let's open developer.mozilla website, developer.mozilla.org, and you can see a red border has been applied. Right. So how are you going to work make this add-on work in our Chrome browser. For that, what we're going to do is let's open our Chrome tab. Let's say Chrome extensions. Let's go to this page and make sure that you enable this developer mode on. So it's going to be off by default. So when you click on this developer mode, you get an option to load, unpack, or pack extension and update. So let's click on load unpack option here and go CDJS, Borderify. And here you will not click on the manifest JSON. Instead, you'll be selecting your order and click on select, and that's it. So your extension has been loaded in your browser. To test it, let's go to mozilla.org, and there you go. You can see 5 pixel width of red border, right? So this is one example of how we can build an extension. Let's go to another example called tab open, right? So I'm going to tell you what this is going to do. So this is basically we're going to have a pop-up. We're going to have an icon. So when you click on that icon, you get a pop-up asking for, you have 3 options in the pop-up. One is Google, Facebook, and Twitter. So when you click on Google, you're going to create a new tab with google.com on it, right? And if you click on Facebook, a facebook.com page will be open. So this is what this particular extension does. So let me open Firefox. Let me open this manifest.json file here. Let's close this. All right. So similar way, manifest.json, 3 mandatory keys. Manifest version, name, and the version. And description homepage is optional again. We have icons for 48. And background script, we have our background.js that we're going to see what's going to happen in that. And here we have an interesting manifest key here, that is browser action. So as I told you, browser action is basically, if you want an icon on your toolbar, then you have to use browser action. And so that is what this particular component does. So you have a default icon. So basically you need to show an icon on your toolbar, and then you're going to have a title and a default pop-up. So whenever you click on that icon, you need to show your users a pop-up, right? So that will be mentioned here in the default pop-up. So that's basically an HTML page, right? So the basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript is what this browser action pop-up will contain. So let's see what this pop-up HTML has. So basically, it's a very simple code here. So we have 3 options: Google, Facebook, and Twitter. So when you click on these options, any of these options, so these are wrapped in a div. So when you click on any of this div, automatically a new tab will be created. So how do we create that? So this calls choose website.js. Let's open it. So what we're doing is basically we're going to see if it does not contain a class called website, so that's not written blank. If it contains a class called website, then what you're going to do is basically extract the text content. So basically here the text content is Google. So we're going to extract it, and we're going to pass it to the background JS, right? So we're going to pass it as a name and in JSON format. We're going to call browser.runtime.send message. So what this does is basically it sends a message from choose.js to the background JS. Right. So I remember I told you that only the background JS has access to all the extension APIs, right? So you need to send a message in order to make use of those APIs. So you're sending a message to your background.js, right? So here what we're doing is, it's again a very simple code. We'll be listening to an on message. So we will be listening if an event has been dispatched. So once it's dispatched, it will listen to it and it will run this particular function. So what do? Basically, we will extract the name. In case of Google, we're going to return as google.com, Facebook, facebook.com. And to show it in a new tab, we're going to make use of this particular API called tabs API. Again, browser is the namespace, tabs is the API, and create is the method. So browser.tabs.create, and you have to pass domain name, the entire domain name as URL. So once you do that, you create a new tab where google.com is will be shown. So let's try it out. The same drill. Let's load temporary add-on, CDJS, tab open, Firefox. and click on the manifest.json, open. So you can see tabs open extension has been added to our browser, and you can see a little icon here, right? So this is what the browser action icon is. So when you click on this icon, you have three divs, three options, either Google, Facebook, or Twitter. Let's click on Google. That's it. Let's click on Facebook. It's going to open a new tab with Facebook. Twitter, it's going to open a new tab with Twitter. All right. So this is what this particular extension do. And let's do the same thing in extension. Let me remove this API, load unpacked, TDJS, tab open, Firefox, and select. So what's going to happen is basically it's going to throw an error. Why? Browser is not defined. So as I already told you, WebExtension API make use of the namespace called browser, whereas Google Chrome make use of Chrome namespace. So the difference is this. So let me open Chrome manifest. So this is the extension that's going to work in Chrome. So I'm going to walk through what's the content in it. So manifest.json is going to be the same what you saw for Firefox. And the only change that you're going to see is wherever you have used browser namespace, you're going to replace that with Chrome namespace, right? So instead of browser, you're going to use Chrome.tabs. Instead of browser runtime, you're going to use Chrome.runtime. And similarly, you're going to use Chrome.runtime to send message to send a message to your background, right? So now let's remove this and run our extension that is designed for Chrome. Now, if you see, it just works. But what if you don't want to make all these changes? So the point of cross-browser extension is basically you want to have a single code base that works across all the browsers, right? So what if you want to do that? So there's something called WebExtension Polyfill. So what it does is basically runs the browser namespace in your Chrome browser as well. So how does it do? Let's get WebExtension Polyfill. And let's get the browser polyfill.js. So all you need to do is basically you need to have this JS file in your extension folder. So once you have this and you call this polyfill, you can immediately use your extension that you actually run on your Firefox into your Chrome as well. So let's save browser polyfill in Firefox. I'm going to save this file in Firefox. And let me open the Firefox. And you can see there's a browser polyfill.js. So what we're going to do is basically we need to mention this browser polyfill.js in our background before running our background script, right? So we're going to call browser polyfill.js and then background.js. Always remember you need to call this polyfill before you call your background.js. That's very important. Otherwise, you'll still get the browser is not defined error. So, and you also need to mention it in your browser action. For example, this is our browser action. So what we're going to do is I'm going to uncomment this. I've already added it. So we are going to call our browser polyfill.js in our browser action page as well. I'm going to save this as well. And I'm going to go to Chrome. So previously we got an error while I tried to load the extension from Firefox, right? Now, since I have this browser polyfill.js, that's going to solve my problem. So let's select, and there you go. We don't have any error. So let's check if it works or not. Open this, click on the tabs, Google, and there you go. All right. So we are using this browser polyfill. We are able to run our extension, the same code that you use for Firefox, in your Chrome browser as well. So what about Opera? What about Edge? What about Safari? You can do it in all these browsers as well. So let me show an example of how you do it in Opera. Let's go to Opera extensions. So I think we already have it open. And it's the same way just like in Chrome, since it's a Chromium-based browser, so just like in Chrome, you have a developer mode here. You need to enable it, and you get this option. Click on Load Unpacked, and tab open Firefox. Click on Select, and there you go. Your extension is now loaded in your browser. Now, to try it out, let me enable this. So you see an icon here. Click on it, Google, and there you go. That's it. So you have now successfully ran your extension in Firefox, Chrome, and Opera. All right. So how do you run an add-on? So we just saw how we run an add-on, right? So first thing is we can run through about debugging. So I went to this page called about debugging. Similarly, in Chrome, you visit Chrome extension, Chrome /extensions folder. In the page there, you can load your extension. And similarly, in Opera, you use Opera /extensions. And there's also an option called about add-ons where you can load your extension. And there's also another way to run your add-on instead of doing it through your browser. If you are fond of running it on your terminal, then you can make use of this WebEx tool. So this is basically an NPM package. So I have already installed this NPM package here. Let me give you an example how it looks like. Let me open Firefox. And here, what I'm going to do is basically run WebEx and space run. So what it's going to do is it will open a new Firefox browser for me, and the extension will be loaded in it. So here it is. So a new Firefox browser is opened, and an extension is loaded here. Now if I click on it, it opens google.com. Now let's say I want to make a change. How does it reload? Let's go to Python. Let's go to the folder, and let me change the website to Instagram.com. All right, I'm going to save it. So once you save it, this WebEx is going to reload automatically. And I just need to click on this, and there you go. Instagram.com is open. All right. So this is how you can make use of this WebEx package. And you have a lot of things that you can do with WebEx. Let me show you. So there are a lot of options that are available in this package. Like you can build, you can create your zip artifact, you can sign your package, you can run your package, you can lint, you can check for if there is any manifest, there's an error in your manifest file, and documentation link, right? So let's try to package this. Let's call it WebEx space build. When I do this, a folder will be created in case it's not visible. So when I do WebEx build, a folder is created here. Go to this, and here you can see a zip file has been created in the format that all the marketplace requires you to have. That is extension name followed by a version number and then zip file. Right? So this, so that's how easy it is to use this NPM package. And now let's talk about publishing an add-on. So there are different ways of publishing in each of these browsers. So let me show an example how you do it in your Firefox browser. So let's go to addons.mozilla.org. Click on this Developers Hub. So once you're in this Developers Hub, you need to log in into your Firefox account. So you need to log in as a Firefox user. And then once you do it, there's an option called Submit a New Add-on here. Click on it, and it basically asks you two options. It gives you two options. One is, do you want to own on this site? If you want to publish your add-on in this addons.mozilla.org site, or if you want to publish it in your own website, both are possible. Let's say on this site, continue. Here you're going to select your zip file. So remember, we just created a zip file here using WebEx build. So we're going to click on this open, and it's going to validate our manifest file. If there is no error, yes, no errors with warnings. And it's going to ask whether it's for Firefox or Firefox for Android. Let's call it Firefox, continue. By the way, Firefox and Firefox Android both has some similarities, but most of the APIs will not work for Firefox or Android. So if you want to check which works in Firefox, which works in Firefox Android, then you have to visit the developers.mozilla.org. You have a section there. I also shared in the resource section, like where to check whether it is available for Android or not. So here you need to submit a source code in case you have any mini files or generators, but we don't have anything of that. So no, and continue. And this is the page that will be landed to. And here you can give your summary descriptions and what category it belongs to, what license are you using here. And if you want to give a note to the reviewer, for example, if you want to give a test signing credentials in order to use your add-on, then you need to provide that and then submit version. That's it. Right. So it's very easy to do this. And similarly for other platforms like Chrome and Safari, basically in Chrome and Safari, you need to pay an fee or one-time fee to publish an add-on, whereas in Mozilla Firefox, it's absolutely free to publish an add-on. All right. So here are a few of the links that you would require while building an extension. So please check out these links. It's going to be really handy when you start developing your first extension. And if you need any help, reach out to the IRC channel. We basically run on Matrix. So here's the channel, addons.mozilla.org. And you can also subscribe to a mailing list, which is dev-addons. And feel free to post it on Twitter. If you have any questions, you can tag hashtag @Mozamo, AMO, and you can ask me questions. So yes, that's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining me live today. And I'm available on Twitter. If you have any doubts, you can ask your questions there, or you can post your questions in Veto. If you want to reach out to me, reach out via my personal mail ID. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you.